Welcome to the Fridays with Alice edition of the Daily Downbeat. On Fridays, we're going to talk about an Alice Cooper song each week, and there's a reason for that. A lot of where Song and Verse Ministries came from is a concept that started with what's now called Fridays with Alice, which is a blog based on the life and music of Alice Cooper. We've been honored to have the opportunity to tell his story. Alice has often referred to himself as the walking embodiment of the prodigal son, and we get that. And so we're going to use Alice's music on Fridays and talk a little bit about one of his songs and use some scripture to do our daily devotion with it. This week's song is Salvation, which is a killer tune off of the Along Came a Spider album. And what more can you say about that song title? Romans 10:9-10 says, "If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is with your heart that you believe and are justified, and it was with your mouth that you profess your faith and are saved." There you go. I mean, that's pretty clear. I don't think there's any second guessing on what that means or what that has to say. This album talks about basically a serial killer that has done some pretty heinous things. The Apostle Paul is a walking embodiment of this. Paul was a serial killer ready to just off Christianity, to enslave Christians, to arrest them, to kill them, to do whatever needed to be done to wipe Christianity off the face of this earth. But we all know how that story goes. We know that Paul becomes the greatest missionary in the New Testament. But a parallel story that some may not even really, think about, and one that really kind of works well with the Along Came a Spider album, is the tale of Jeffrey Dahmer. And a lot of people don't know this, but a man by the name of Roy Ratcliffe would visit Jeffrey in prison, and Ratcliffe baptized Jeffrey and came to the point where he noticed Jeffrey's salvation. Jeffrey had come to Christ. So Ratcliffe writes this book called Dark Journey, Deep Grace, Jeffrey Dahmer's Story of Faith, which I didn't even know existed until this song, and was really able to research and find out more about it, and it's phenomenal. One of the questions that constantly Ratcliffe gets asked is, how could Jeffrey be saved? Are his sins really forgivable? How can he be a Christian believer? How can God allow that to happen? And when you look at the story of Paul, and we really put Paul up on a pedestal sometimes, so to speak, at how great and how magnificent some of the things that he did in the name of the Lord were. What's the difference between him and Jeffrey Dahmer as far as the ability to have their sins washed away and be forgiven and be saved? Ratcliffe's response to a lot of that pushback that he gets is this: do these Christians really believe that the blood of Christ shed on the cross is somehow too weak, too thin, too anemic to cover the sins of Jeffrey Dahmer? Because if we believe that, then there's a problem, a big problem. And that's just phenomenal. Really stop and think about that today when you come into contact with people that you just may not feel like get it. You may feel like, there's no way this person's ever going to come to the reality of Jesus or ever really know what this is all about. Stop and think about the Apostle Paul and stop and think about Jeffrey Dahmer. If those two dudes and you and me and everybody else that's been saved, even through the things that we've done in life, if we have access to Christ's blood and salvation, anybody does. So take that to the bank and have a great and wonderful day, and we'll catch you on the next Daily Downbeat. Thanks.